All right, so last week we would have touched on digital communication just in as a overarching theme and how that can work for not only helping you working with your clients, but as well in the event space. Because like I mentioned last week, I did not cross my mind at all to think about teaching you guys from an event space. But Miss Andrea King had a conversation with her. She mentioned something about events. You guys are going to do event management. So it was really interesting for me to figure out how I could connect the dots between what we've done so far the entire semester, and then show the relevance and how it could work for you even in the event space. So if you're not working with an artist, you're working with an event, the principles that we went through still apply. And we spoke about having something to say, right? And that is looking at whether it's the artist or the event, diving into who they are, what they're about, what the goals are, what the vision is, all of that to figure out what it is that they have to say. What we're doing today is to figure out how to say that thing, right? So we already know what we want to say. We already went through the whole stylescape experience. We know the target. We know what the end result is that we're looking for. So with that being said, it's really now just a case of how. How is the best way to connect, right? Last week we spoke about. I might as well keep the same themes. We spoke about old year's night and what that can mean for couples, a single person that's looking for love, or a single person that just wants to hang out with their friends. If we have this event, which is All Year's Night, and we want to figure out how we're going to say it, that again is going to be tied to our audience, right? Depending on where the audience is at, you're going to choose the right medium in order to reach them. So if there were millennials, then probably radio isn't necessarily the best place to reach those people, right? You might be better off running a whole bunch of Instagram ads targeted to a specific age group. You might be able to get them better that way. Radio, I don't listen to the radio much. And we have so many streaming platforms and we got Bluetooth. When we get in the car, we're probably going to be listening to our own playlist as opposed to what's going on the radio, right? Now, if you're going up in age and you're looking at Gen Z, you're looking at baby boomers, they probably still listen to the radio. So for them, radio would be a good place. Now, that's not necessarily just going to paint everything with one brush because there are points in the day that persons that have fell in love with radio, they might tune in. So a millennial might tune in during drive time, let's say 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning, for like something like What Drives You Crazy on Slam 101. Reason being, it's like that talk show type situation, which we seem to like, because we listen to podcasts and all everything like that. But that would be a good time to get the message across there. Now, the how now is going to be yes, audio is going to be one way. How that audio comes across, that's now a different thing, right? Where is it going to be just the radio person reading the information? Or do you have to paint a picture for your audience? Do you have to make them feel emotionally attached to what it is you're describing, right? Do you want to put them in their feelings? Are you telling them a story? All of those things are things that are going to come into place when we're now thinking about the communication aspect of the thing that we have to say, which in this case is All Year's Night. Hey, Kiana, how are you doing? All right. So if you're thinking of Old Year's Night, let me go ahead and share my screen. Screen. Get the chat. Chat. Yeah, if you're seeing, you could just type some sevens in the chat. Let me know, and I'll keep it going from here. All right, perfect. Let me get those design principles too. Hi, Tara. Hey, that's fine. That's not a problem at all. Let's get these design principles. That's weird. Right. All right. So here we go. So we have contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity as our principles of design. I'll put that on another page. And then we also have the elements of design. All right. So we're talking about, oh, here's night. We're talking about how we're going to be communicating. Radio was one. So the other one is going to be images. So images, words, audio, video. All right. Those are really your four ways that you could communicate what it is that you have to say. All right. If we're looking at images, those could be just pictures. Those could be pictures with words. But that's a combination. Then you have words, which is just words by themselves, which could be someone speaking, which is the audio plus words would just be someone speaking. Or you can have an image that doesn't move, but then you're hearing words behind it. All right. But let's get into this visually, where we have contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And we want to use this to communicate our message. So if the first thing is we know that we're having an all years night event, then what we can end up with is we need to find some images that speak to that event, right? Who is that we're targeting? Here's Eve. So we build that, put that together, and all right, we put everything on one screen. You guys should still be seeing my desktop. Yes. All right. So if you're thinking all year's night, and we're thinking words, Obviously, if you're using Canva, you got to come over here by the text tool here, add a text box. And let's see, what is our all years event going to be called? Let's do suit and tie. That doesn't really speak to both, does it? Let's do memories. Let's try memories. Right? Because we want to make them, we want to have them, we want to remember them. So if you're going to this event, you may have had a lot of memories, assuming you're with Bay. And at this point, you just want to celebrate all of that together. So we're going to go through, we're just going to pick, not going to take a lot of time on this, but we want to pick a typeface that might help us tell that story. Now, do you guys remember anything about what I would have mentioned about typography? Because this right here is a serif font. And is there any reason why you think I might try to use a serif for this? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute and let me know. All Year's Night event, we're using a serif font so far. Why would we do that? Any takers? Make it easy to read? I mean, it could be anything. It could have been one of these fonts. This is a sans serif. What do you guys remember about fonts? Because it is less formal. Serif fonts. All right, let's go. Where's that?
So you just asked what we remember from.
Say that one more time.
You just said that you just asked like what we remember from when we do the fonts.
Yeah.
Oh, what I remember is we have like faces which is made of fonts.
Right.
And then a font like Roman gold.
All right, I'm losing you a little bit in your audio.
I said like face will be Times New Roman and font will be Times New Roman gold.
Okay. Cool. All right, so here, all right, serif typefaces, as the name implies, they include serifs, which are just these little shapes and the corners, right? Now, this part here, close to the bottom, is what I really wanted you to get. Serif typefaces and fonts tend to have a sophisticated, classic feel. So if you're looking at an all years event, we're looking at, let's say, Gen Zers, right? It's all years, so that automatically makes it special. It's like a culmination of the entire year. You get to dress up. People like to go dress into the nines because it's super fancy. You got fireworks. You got the emotional, um, emotional factor. You're looking forward to this countdown. You're looking forward to ringing in the new year, probably kissing your significant other, right? All of those things could pair into what we're thinking for this event. Can you have just a regular bashment party for all years? Definitely, for sure. But for this, we're trying to think of something a little more classy. So because we're in that classy space, we're thinking maybe something like this. All right, and that's where we're starting. Outside of that now, we need an image. We need a photo to work with this. All right. And let's see what we have here. Couple Elegant, where? I mean, this is a lot. Not for Barbados for sure. But we could do something like that. All right, so let's get our download on. All right, so we go ahead here. We try to get this image in, and try to do this as quickly as possible because you guys will use whatever platform you have. Right now, I'm going to be using Photoshop, which is on my other screen, so you can't really see it right now, but you should see it in a little bit. So we're talking about how we are going to be reaching out. So we need to have some graphics, right? And I usually tell you guys we want to figure out the thinking behind what we're doing. So if we have this event, we want to be able to communicate everything that we know about this event to our audience to make them want to come. So in that case, we have some of the generic stuff. We have when is it, where is it, how much is it, what is going to be happening. Do you have any special guests, any artists, anything like that? Is it inclusive? Is it all inclusive? Is it like park and ride? All of that stuff is information that people want to know. And since they want to know it, you're going to have to communicate it. All right. So you can find that event holders, people that have the brands, they would put this, leave that alone. People will put that information together so that you can pass on that information, right? And you can create different posts just specifically to share that information. Let's see. While I'm doing this, I could pull up an event, which could be useful in this case. J-Rum. All right, so this is a rum festival in Jamaica, right? We're gonna circle back to what I was doing just now, but for now, JA Rum Festival in Jamaica. Obviously it's ended before, so we're trying to go back to the beginning to when they just started talking about it. Yep. All right, so I think that's where they were now starting to talk about it. All right, so that's 2022. 2022, and this is now 2024. All right, so watch how these guys are going to be communicating some subtle messages, and let me know if you catch it, right? So here, we'll start off with some pictures. Obviously, this is probably the launch event that they had, but I want you guys to pay attention to this stuff at the bottom of the page, right? At the bottom of the screen. We got these palm leaves down here, right? Still have the palm leaves. Still have the palm leaves. Still have the palm leaves. All right. This is going to be, as far as our principles of design go, that is repetition in play. All right. So communicating the event, part of it is, yeah, it's tropical. We're from the Caribbean. We're going to have some palm leaves. But then also beyond that, let me know if color-wise, What are you guys seeing from these photos here? What stands out in terms of the color?
There's a lot of like blue and green in them.
Yeah, right. Their palette is in this blue and green type place, right? And that's the photography. The photography has this, yeah, cool colors for sure, blue and green. Now the event had the lighting setup, right? So just by us looking at this now, we can tell that the event had this theme, it had these cool colors going on, and also the marketing, the design also took into consideration this blue and this green. No flare drop yet. This is just a launch event and some social media posts. Let's see this video. Let's see if these cool colors continue to carry through, right? Still getting those blues. Right? So throughout the entire event, the lighting also lent to that vibe. Now let's keep scrolling. And now we have this. This is the first graphic that speaks to the event now, right? So they have tons of palm trees, keeping the blue and the green in there, but then they have this bottle silhouette. Why? It's all about rum. So why not have a bottle of rum? Right? Appleton Estate. So we have all of this happening. More photos. There you go. Oh. All right, some more photos. So now they do this cool thing where 1, 2, 3 photos, these 3 work together. So like if this was over here, you'll be able to clearly see that those 3, you're supposed to be seeing it one time. Now, as far as you're on Instagram, you're getting this information, it doesn't always have to be just one square at a time. You can be a little creative in the way that you communicate your message while you're on Instagram, depending on who you're targeting to. But this is going to take some planning. It's going to take beforehand, before we show anything to the public, we know what the vibe is going to be. So we want to capture that and we want to show it off in the most spectacular way possible. So this same concept that I have here, we got the bottle, we got the space with the white background, we got sky, some birds in it. We have this crowd, right? Now, when we look at this, we have the crowd coming back. We still are framed with these palm leaves. We still got the sky going on, right? So they're able to maintain these visuals as they tell their story. Like I didn't even read the captions that they have as yet, but that's all part of it. All right, that's a video. But even here, slightly different graphic, same thing. So while they have their theme in their minds, they're really slowly showing it to you. And you can see the repetition across the board. We're repeating the color palette. We're repeating these palm leaves. Okay. All right, more photos, more photos. All right. Here, slightly different flyer, but does it still feel like the same event? Right? The repetition helps you pull everything together. All right. So anyone coming to their page, they already know what it's all about. But now at this point, they introduce this purple thing, whatever Blitz is. All right. If you don't know what Blitz is, you still know this guy, you know, Beanie Man. You're like, wait a minute, Beanie Man's going to be here? Awesome. You got more things to look forward to. People in the chat want to know how much the tickets are. They haven't said anything about pricing as yet. All right. So we're looking here between, let's see some dates. Between March 27th and April 22nd, they haven't told a whole month passed, and they didn't tell anybody how much the tickets are. All right. I don't know what they did on the ground in Jamaica, Like maybe they were on the radio during that time. They were also saying like, hey, this thing is coming up. They probably have some radio ads running about Appleton Estate Jamaica Rum Festival is coming July 18th. You know the date, you know where it's going to be, you know the vibe. You don't know how much the price is. All right, it's apparently a flashback, 2022, flashback again. I think for this, they're pulling footage from previous events just to help paint a picture for what's coming next. All right, so here, you know they know who's coming, right? So just think about the different points of what they're trying to communicate with this event. You know when it is, you know who's coming. You don't know the prices yet, but to help you get even more excited about who's coming, what do? Post a video that has the man himself in there. All right, why not? Continue to show what the vibe is going to be. Right? They're using old footage, so this isn't going to completely have that blue, purple, cool color look to it. But we're going to have you wanting to be there more and more. Right? We got ticket information drop here. All right. So with the ticket information being out there, May 13th, let's see, that was in May. So they started in March up until May 8th. No ticket information as yet. Then May 10th, we know that tickets are available. We know what ticket prices are. So that's 2 months that is spent talking about this thing. The event is in July. So that's March to April, May, June, July. 4 months. We're looking at May. We now know a little bit more. All right. Talk about Blitz. We know what's coming. We know the prices. We know who's singing, performing. We're still keeping our palm trees. This time, Beanie Man is even closer, more further ahead, right? Just to keep with what this information is going to be. You get a bit more detail, right? You got more detail. The colors are still here, purples and blues. All right. So now with this, now that you have the overall theme for the event, we can stop. We can do this and break it down. All right. We can start to break it down. This is a carousel. Not sure how many pages it is. But we are going to give you some more of that information here. All right. So you got 2 events. You got the date. You got the location here. All right. Double the excitement, double the fun. So they're really leaning into the fact that you're getting 2 events, 2 experiences, sorry, for 1 event. All right. 1 festival. They mentioned this stuff earlier, but it was really, really tiny. Let me show you. All right, right here on the drum. Right here on the drum, you got education, art and culture, and music. Let me know if on your side, is this clear or does it look blurry? All right, so let's see what the carousel is actually doing now for us. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it just simply goes, really gets you excited about the fact that it's 2 events, 2 experiences, 1 event, and follows up with what the ticket price is. Big and bold, 1 price, which from what they had before is the early bird price, right? They don't need to tell you all 3 anymore. They want you to focus on just this one thing. So now, as you're moving forward, as you're in this space and you're communicating your message, you don't have to say the full message every single time, right? As you go through your process, you can say, all right, I gave you everything, but right now I'm gonna focus on the beginning part. And then I'm focused on this part. And then I'll focus on this part. And then I'll focus on that part. All right, just so you can zoom in and say a lot more for a particular result. This, with the price being so enormous, this is focused on sales. We want you to buy these tickets. Right, so as that goes, from the media launch, they pull some more pictures. I'm sure this is going to give you an idea of what to expect from the event, what to expect from what's going on. So even with your artist, if your artist is looking to launch a book, they're going to go on tour, you can space out the content that you capture, right? Whether it's photography and video, and you can space it out in a way so your message can live a lot longer. This media launch happened in March, right? This was all the way in March. But they were still able to leverage that and use it months later. All right. And from here, they started to introduce some other people that are going to be there, whether it's at Blitz or at the Rum Festival themselves. They created a template here, which is another version of repetition. This is the template, new artists, right? The only thing that changed is who the artist is. So now, as a consumer looking at this, consuming this information, getting more and more information about this event, you can see you don't need to worry about what the background is. When you saw it the first time and it came up another time, you probably physically, you didn't really see the background. You saw that a person changed. And that becomes more apparent because now, anytime we're launching another person, I'll use the same template, but I'll just add a different picture in. All right. This imagery here, same imagery that we looked at earlier that had the information on the drum where Beanie Man was there. They're reusing stuff that you've seen before because mentally, you're not really going to see it now. All right, so we're using that repetition. We are using, I wouldn't say it's that much contrast as far as the photo goes. Like these blend a little. But the important information, there's enough contrast that the important information definitely stands out. Right? You know the date, you know the time, you know where it is, and you know there's no price on here, but you know the date, the time, and the location. Right? Same thing here. So this, just another templated way to get some information out there. They're using social media. They're using what people have been saying about them to tell more people why they should come. Right? And it's super important that you get messages from third parties, that you get people outside of yourself to be able to support your message. That just makes it feel a lot more real and people would believe it more than a commercial. Case in point, if the five of us on this call, so Savannah, Najiri, Tahira, and Kiana, let's say you wanted to buy some, I don't know, y'all buy makeup? Do you? You guys into Fenty? No. Okay. Cool beans. Let's say shoes, right? Let's say shoes. If a new shoe brand came to Barbados, you don't know anything about them, and you do like the styles of shoe, right? The shoes are pretty cool style-wise, but you don't know the brand itself. If you just saw commercials, you might, I don't know, maybe 30% think, I might want to go buy this shoe and actually go and buy it. But if a really good friend of yours shows up at your house, and you're like, wow, these shoes are amazing. Where'd you get them from? Oh, that new store that opened up at Sky Mall. I got them from there. It was actually buy one, get one free. Are you more likely to go to the store after your friend said, that they got it from the same place, or would you not? You can let me know in the chat. All right, so we're gonna circle back to some imagery here while I'm waiting for you guys. Where did that go? You go because of the sale. So it don't matter who tell you that there was a sale, you heard buy one, get one free. You just pull up. Man, I was completely off for that. I thought you guys would have gone because of the friends. That is crazy. All right, hold on. Just trying to get this picture that I edited. All right, so I would really prefer this to be black and white, but you know, it is what it is. All right, so here's a couple things. We have contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity. All right. Whenever you are, let's say you're working with a designer or you're doing it yourself, there's things about design that you need to consider, right? One of those things is you want it to be as balanced as possible. When I say balance, let's see. When I say balance, that in a sense is contrast and a little bit of alignment, kind of like merge together. Man, these really feel like an old years kind of color though. Anyway, you want a little balance, right? So if you have something on your left, you should have something on your right that doesn't feel like it's leaning on one side. You want it to feel, you want to feel balanced. So if you have something big here, chances are the better option would be to have something smaller over here, right? Just to create a sense of balance. If you have, right, if you have something big at the top, you might want to put something smaller at the bottom. Once again, just so there's some balance. Because if the top is big and the bottom is big, it's not necessarily balanced. It's like, I don't know which thing I should be looking at first, right? Which goes back to hierarchy, which is something that we covered. Right? To know what to look at first, we kind of start with the biggest thing and come on down. Let me get that hierarchy. All right, remember me showing this to you. The biggest thing is the most important thing, and then there's the smaller things that are happening. So even when you're considering artwork, you keep that in consideration as well. Most important thing, memories. Why? That's the name of the event. That's where we're going. We want to be at memories. The people in this photo, if they're small, it doesn't really work as well, right? If they're too big, right? If they're too big, that could be problematic. They're now blocking the most important thing. But just by moving things around, right? Just by moving things around, you could get a slightly different result. Now, can anyone tell me why do you think, or do you think that this works? Do you think this works so far?
You mean everything that you put?
Just this square, this page 4.
Okay, right. Why do I think it works? Because the use of color um, is consistent. I know you
Okay.
mentioned alignment, but yeah,
All right,
that's how
cool.
you put it.
Let's see here. Why is there a problem here?
In small parts. um,
Yeah, and even while Nigeria is talking, you guys could type in the chat, right? There's a problem with this, right? And I want you guys to tell me, I want to know what you're thinking. One, do you see that there's a problem? Because if you don't, you could be like, sir, I don't see a problem with this. But if you do see a problem, are you able to communicate what you think that problem is?
The colors are completely clashing.
The colors are clashing, all right? What else?
You can't see the guy's face properly
Why can't we see the guy's face properly?
because it's covered by the word memories, and you can't even really read the E or the M properly
Yeah. And why can't we read the E and the M properly?
because it's over his face.
All right.
And you can't really read the I and the E properly either.
Okay. Now let me know. Can you read the E and the M better now? Like just
Yeah.
the E and the M, right? So just the E and the M, if I make it white, it's easier to read on his brown face. Reason for that is why couldn't I do it with black? Why was it hard to read with black and easier to read with white? It's one of these here.
Because of contrast.
There you go. The black and the brown, they're too close together, right? The black and brown are
stop
too
to
close
step away
together.
for a minute.
Pardon?
Stepping away for a minute.
All right. So because of the lack of contrast, it's hard for me to read. Now, if I decided their faces were not important, and I did something like, where is it? Where's the color? I need. Guys, hold on 1 second. All right. So about that. Yeah, so if we decided that their faces weren't important for whatever reason, right? Let's say this lady was as tall as he was. All right, let's actually do that. So this is gonna look weird, but we gonna do it anyway. Right? So if we did that, such a weird event. We would need to change the name of the event so that it's not memories. Maybe it's a masquerade, you know? If it was a masquerade event, this photo would make more sense. Would you guys agree? Guys? Savannah, Najeri, Tahira, Kiana? All right. So there are a couple of decisions that we can make based on what we want to communicate. All right. It's a masquerade event. You don't have to show people with masks on, but because it's a masquerade, people won't be able to see anyone's face. Since people won't be able to see anyone's face, you could decide, you know what, let's put the name of the event over their faces. Their faces are not covered. The visual literally speaks to the event. All right. There's a choice that you can make. Now, this in itself would do a few things to people that are seeing it. One, it's weird, right? So if I was on Instagram and I was scrolling, right? Which out of these four were you likely to pause at? You might not completely stop. Which of these you might pause at just from a attention point of view? You said this one with the little people, this one with the thing on their faces, this one, or this one. All right. Number two, with the thing going across his faces, because that's not a thing people usually do. So this goes back to communicating your message. If you know what a message is, you can make some crazy decisions for that to work, right? And now also, since the faces are blocked out, you don't have a contrast problem because you don't care about their faces. So you could still keep this black. Or let's say you wanted to use a color that already exists. You can make like orange, which is the orange in his jacket. You can do brown, whatever. All right, so you're still able to do that. Now let's look at this. Why is memories easy to read down here at the bottom? Let me know. Why is memories easy to read at the bottom here? You guys hear me? Yes, my mic is on. All right, so while you're doing that, I'm gonna keep this moving. All right, more solid background. Sure. What else? What else? What else? The font is light compared to the black tone of the clothes. What's that called? Put in something light in front of something dark. Put in something dark in front of something light. What is that called? Contrast. 100%. Right? It's easy to read because of contrast. The background is dark, so we could put something light here. Right? So those are all options that you can do. The something like the name of the event, it doesn't have to always be at the top. You can put it anywhere, but you just need to consider what that's going to mean for everything else in your layout, right? If it was a case where all we needed to do was announce the name of the event, and this is completely fine. We got memories, we got a picture. There you go. But if we needed to add where is it, when is it, how much is it, we don't really have room for that, right? We don't have the room. And making sure that you have the room is something that proximity is going to help with, right? How close is information to each other? Question, are you guys hearing something in the background by me? Like sounds like a TV or something? I just want to know if it seems really loud or not.
No,
All right,
I can't hear anything.
all right, perfect, 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 perfect. All right, so if we have a bunch of information that needs to go in, we need to make sure we have room for that. All right, so we may use less of the photo, right? We may take our title, right? So the title is up at the top, picture is down at the bottom. Now, if we decided, you know what? We have the name of the event. Maybe we might want to go, when is the event? I'm not going to go and make up a whole bunch of dates, but day, month, whatever. What is today? 25th November. All right, so the event is happening 25th of November. Is the date most important? Maybe. What if it's a really, really nice venue, right? Jeez. If the event's at a really, really nice venue, that could be the next biggest thing, right? And I'll put really nice venue. Right? Really nice venue. And then you can go to date, and the time is from 7 p.m. Now, let me pay attention to this part that I'm doing, right? So we have memories. You can tell that there's a little space between memories and this location, right? After the location, I have the date and the time, and then I also have some space between those. Can anyone take a guess why I will put spaces between these as opposed to doing something like this? Or do you see a difference between, oops, hello. Do you see a difference between option A? Come on. And B. Do you see a difference between this and this? All right, Tahira says no. Let me know. Kiana, Savannah, do you see a difference between this one and this one?
Yeah, the font in the bottom one's bigger. The really nice venue is bigger in the bottom one and closer to the memories.
Let's see. Is it bigger? Same size. It's the same size. All right, Savannah. So why do you think it felt like this is bigger and this is smaller? Because everything on this is the same size as this.
Because the people were further up.
Yeah, people are further up. But is having the people further up, do you think that could possibly make the text look smaller? Right, so here you have it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Everything is closer together. It feels all it's cramped up. Right? By giving things space, you could create the illusion of it being smaller or that there's a lot more room to breathe. Right? It's not cramped up. In the industry, we call that luxury space. Right? That happens by just giving it some space. Now, proximity would speak about having bits of information and choosing to have them either close or far away from other things, right? And the reasons why you would do that. So similar to how this feels like it has space, where is it? This, there's some distance, there's some visually, this is on top of the image, right? But when you look at a photo of people, can you tell me what's the first thing that you look at? Or what do you think is one of the first things you look at? If people are in a photo and you can see their faces, what's one of the first things that you look at?
What they're wearing.
Okay, what they're wearing. All right, and Jerry says face. All right, outfit. Cool. I go with face and then what they're wearing, right? Your eyes might be drawn, like, I don't know. Do your eyes drawn to this person who seems to be looking at you or this person who's not looking at you? Right? But you got the outfit as well. Now, because if you're saying that people may be drawn to the face, then that's going to be this section. I don't want to animate, no. Right? This is the section where the face is. The outfit is going to be down here. But now this is the title of the thing, which is down at the bottom. What we do is we might make this smaller than it would need to be. Right? So we have most of the attention goes here, and then we have the title down here. So we try to get some attention down here. Now, if I was in a different type of program, what I would do is try to make the bottom half of this photo a lot more darker so that we lose some of the detail, right? Lose some of the detail of what you're seeing down here. Let me show you what I mean. So this software here, so you have to do this. All right, no worries. What we're looking at here is Photoshop, right? So when I say that I would make the bottom darker, it would look something like this. All right, so I would do that. So now the bottom of this picture is a lot darker than it was before. And let's see if I can save this quickly. All right. So you can see the bottom of this a whole lot darker, which makes this stand out even more. Anywho, so we have this. We got our photo, we got memories at the bottom. We have this, which speaks to if it was a masquerade, we use that way to communicate it visually. But we're not able to have a whole bunch of information on here. Why? The image wouldn't allow us to put text on it. Which then leads us to something like this, where we're able to have the information on here. We got some space for more text, which then, depending on the other things that you have to say, you can put those in different areas. Over here, you could potentially push the photo to a side and do something like, oops. All right, so any details you could add over here. All right, so now you have more information that you can work on, which is really the difference between, where is it? This right here. You have more information to share. And this, as well as this. All right. But using Canva, when we're looking at the exam and I give you the projects to do, where let's say it's doing an Instagram post for a new album that's being launched, I'm going to give you photos that you can use. There already would be cut out. Some of them wouldn't be. And you can then decide where you're going to put things. All right. But also take into consideration any of these. Right? If you make something and you turn it into a carousel, you could remember this example that we had here with these photos that had the palm trees at the bottom. So if you decided to do a carousel, Canva isn't going to give you that wide view for a carousel, but what you could do is, let's say you wanted a rectangle that's just at the bottom. You could put that rectangle there, put the rectangle there, put the rectangle there, right? Those four all have the same thing at the bottom. Poof, you have yourself some repetition. All right. So that is image. That is scaling the image. Oh, let me show something else. Where is it? Now, in the event that you wanted to have the photo really big and you want to have the text on top of it, some people do something like this, right? Where it looks kind of like a ransom note. So they would add a shape. They would add a shape to the background and then just simply type on top of that. Oops. which could be cool, right? Depending again on the event, what the event theme is, who you're speaking to. But that's another option for what you could do when you are talking about different events. So we can go 28th November 2024. Wyndham's, however you spell it, I feel like it's H. Wyndham's, or Castle. All right. So right here, we have the text, but we created contrast. We created that separation between the background and the image by adding this box, and we just put the text on top of it. All right. Again, it's another option to do things. All right. All of these use the same elements. We have a photo, we have the name of the event, we have venue and date, right? Venue and date, more details. All right. So this right here, this would use another principle. Where's the thing? This is alignment. Everything here is centered, right? The photo is centered within the square. The text is centered, right? Everything is centered. But it doesn't have to be. You can decide, you know what? I want these things to be aligned to the left. Right? And that's going to look like the text lines up with the name of the event, right? So you could decide the point that you set your things to line up to. For me, I would choose the biggest thing and let it line up with that, as opposed to doing this, where it seems like it's lining up to the side of the jacket, but it also feels a little off. I don't know if you would agree with me, but it feels a little off to me. So since it's all text, I rather line up my text with other text. So centered, left aligned. Space is something that's really interesting from the standpoint of how can I make this make sense with this? This is couple standing here. All right, so imagine this is a book cover, right? It's a book cover, but for whatever reason, this gentleman seems to have his attention somewhere else, right? His attention seems to be, doesn't seem like, does it look like he's looking at this lady to you? Or does it seem like he's just looking at something in that general direction? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, for sure. It looks like he's just looking in off into the distance. So here's where my mind immediately went, right? He's not that into you. He's not that into you. Where's it? Where's it? Where's it? All right, so question for you. Does this image and this title feel like they can go together? Talk to me, talk to me. Canvas says it could work. All right, cool. Good to know. Let's see. All right. So with this situation, all right, we use the photo super tiny, but we made the text really, 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 really big. What if you were to see something like this? What is the, or I should ask a little differently. Is there, do you guys, can you guys imagine the emotion being communicated by this visual? Class? Guys there.
Yeah, it looks like it works.
All right. So my question was, can you guys imagine what emotion maybe trying to communicate with this so far? It's not it. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. He's not it. I really wanted an arrow that was just doing this. I was just going this way. So anyway, just imagine there's an arrow that goes from here over there. Will this work? All right, let's try that.
Also, I would like to say
Yep.
that. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So also to say that interestingly, she's making like more of like the focus between them in a way. Just like he's not the one.
Uh-huh.
He's not that into you, right? And so like well now you do that and putting attention on him, but it's like because of like his pose kind of blending in with the background, she's kind of more like you like naturally
Oh,
drift to her first
yeah. I see what
and
you're
then you
saying.
drift to him.
See what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his jacket and the background being orange, he's kind of blending into the background more.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm speaking, sis.
Like she's still the most focus point in a way.
I'm speaking to you.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
is not that into you. Right? Now, before, remember when we were looking at creating the flyer for the event, this is the size the photo was. Right? The photo was tiny, but it kind of really worked for Memories, the event. But we could take the same tiny photo because of what we want to communicate. We are screaming what we want to communicate from the mountaintops. Right? So the emotion I was looking for is like there's urgency, there's I'm trying to get your attention. This is all caps. I am screaming at you. Sis, he is not into you. Right? It could be worse. Like if I was able to make into you, let's say I made this, geez. If I made this, let's try the purple, but that might blend into the background. Let's just imagine she was wearing pink pants. Right? Kind of takes us to a different place. I don't know where my author name goes, but we can figure that out. I don't like it there. Make it better over there. Where it was? Okay. Right? So we have this. Now, this is not let's see, let's get our principles back. Let's get our principles back. All right, so we have contrast, right? Dark background, white and pink. They contrast to the background, both of them. So you can see the title kind of clearly. Let's imagine, I guess, that we edited the photo in a way that the jacket blends more into the background than to the Jerry's concept. That will be even more interesting. Maybe he's faded out some more, so you can see her pretty clearly, but then he's more barely there visually he's barely there. Oh, that would be sick. Hold on. Hold on. Jerry gotta give you a concept credit on the cover. So this is the rough. What do you think? All right, what do you think about that? So we're saying that he's not into you because he's barely there. He's not really present. Visually, you can communicate a lot of things if you know what you want to say. All right. And that's really where we're going this whole time. Just that we're messing around with Canva to find a way to do that. All right. So none of the things that you guys are going to face in the exam is going to be as complicated as this, right? Because this has a lot of layers to it. But what we have here is this is really, really big. This is really, really small, right? But we also have this weird hole in what we're looking at. Like, I don't know if you guys see this, but not that the orange square needs to be here, but does this part of the artwork feel empty to you? Like right here where this orange square is. Let me move it. Does it feel like something is missing?
I briefly missed the question.
Say that one more time.
Did you ask a question?
I was asking if the top left corner of this design, if it feels like something is missing. Like you don't have to know what it is, but I just want to know if it feels like something is missing. Right. And that's where the balance gets thrown off, right? So anytime we're designing, we want to have as much balance as possible. I want to do something here and let me know if it feels a little more balanced. Hello, behave. Mm. Does it feel more balanced now? Ajiri to Tahira, does it feel more balanced now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right. And we're just simply trying to work out these things. We have something really, really big, which is on the right side, right? Really big on the right. If we have really big on the right, to balance that off, we need something fairly small on the left, right? So even if those weren't there, if this was over here, kind of centered, let me change the background color so it doesn't blend into what's going on behind it. Uh, all right, this has more balance than this does. But this has more balance than what I just showed you. However, let's try this. Yeah, I don't think I can be able to do that. All right, another question. Does this feel balanced? Or does this feel balanced? Wait, actually, let's do it this way. Does the top one feel balanced or the bottom one? Okay. Do you think you can communicate why you find the top one feels more balanced than the bottom one?
Because of the way the words slanted, so
Right?
they have like more space at the top than the bottom.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take that. This has kind of like a triangle shape to it, right? This has kind of like a triangle shape to it. And then this small one, this big one, it also has a triangle shape to it. Big at the bottom, big at the top, small at the bottom. Smaller at the top, bigger at the bottom. So it kind of fits together like a inverted triangle, kind of fit together. So visually, that's some stuff that you could try to do just to help your artwork look visually appealing. We like to mess around with shapes, and that's something that you can do. Right? All right. So that was a lot on Canva. Not using a lot of different elements. It's really just text, imagery, and these little shapes. All right. Sometimes you don't need to go over the top. You can kind of keep it simple just to get a point across. But being aware of the principles of design and the elements of design, that's where you're going to be able to drive interest into whatever you're creating. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead, take a break. You guys can go for 15 minutes. What is it? 6:35. So that's going to put us at 10 minutes to 7. No, that's is it? 5 would be 40 plus 10. Yeah, 10 to 7. All right. So you guys back at 10 minutes to 7.